And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the Launchpad and our live countdown to launch coverage of SpaceX Starship Flight 7 from Starbase, Texas. L 46 minutes, 3 seconds and counting. And in just a matter of seconds, we should be transitioning into propellant loading. At this time, the ship propellant of liquid oxygen should be now being loaded onto Starship on that upper stage. Ship fuel load will begin in about 2 minutes from now, and then booster fuel will begin loading at T-minus 41 minutes, 24 seconds. But this is where the timeline really starts to pick up as propellant starts loading onto the vehicle. We did have confirmation from SpaceX about 20 minutes ago that the SpaceX Starship crew are go for propellant loading, and it looks like everything is leaning towards that we will get to see the second Super Heavy vehicle launch in less than 12 hours, which is super exciting. If it's your first time here, though, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder host here at the Launchpad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together, and we're glad to have you joining us here live today, as we are now under 45 minutes and counting till liftoff. We are expecting SpaceX to begin their live coverage in about 10 minutes time, and when they do, we will patch them in and listen in to Mission Control for updates, and I'll be back with quick commentary through it, and then I'll be with you all the way through booster flight during that coast phase ahead of Starship re-entry. The big milestone attempts here today, similar to the last flight. Can they attempt to catch the booster, or does it divert to the Gulf of Mexico? Does the brand new Block 2 Starship make it to orbit? And then the big milestone after that, are they able to deploy those 10 Starlink simulators? We'll talk about that more once we get into flight. The Starlink simulator test is set to occur about 17 minutes into flight, so it's going to happen very quickly. So once Starship is in orbit, don't head out anywhere. That's not the end of it. We'll have a payload demonstration 17 minutes into flight, Raptor demo 37 minutes into flight, immediately followed by that re-entry of Starship, which takes about 20 minutes, and we're set to have some truly incredible views over the course of those 20 minutes, thanks to Starlink. But taking a look at the mission timeline, coming down to that 43-minute mark, that is when the ship's liquid methane will begin loading onto the vehicle as we continue through this timeline. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad. We'll work on answering those live while we continue through today's broadcast. I know we got lots of people tuning in from all over the world, so as always, you can let us know in the
Oh. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. In a few seconds, I am going to unmute you, and as soon as you see yourself there, names your water, and you can start. Get ready with the same start. Yeah, you can just start.
I just want to describe Starship and what's happening, like what it does and stuff like that.
So I'm gonna make this bigger so you can see it better. Okay, you want to put you here?
Yeah,
You want this full screen?
yeah.
It's not going to be full screen because it's super loud. I'll make it close to full screen. Like that. Is that good?
Okay. Wait. Oh.
Don't worry about this one.
Yeah, I thought it was launching in 3 days.
Oh, in 40 minutes?
It's launching in 40 minutes.
Okay, so you're going to be talking for 40
Okay.
minutes?
And the thing is, okay, welcome to Think Engineer. I am live streaming about Starship. This is its 7th flight test. Starship is a fully reusable rocket. It is made out of stainless steel. SpaceX is launching this. Stainless steel is used to manufacture. It looks like I was here a little late into the fueling process. It looks like it's only like 10% full, if not less than 10% full of fuel. And by the way, the fuel is methane. For the people that are already watching and know about SpaceX, they probably know this. SpaceX, these flaps, those flaps on the second half of the rocket, or called stage 2, are when Starship comes in from orbit, it will go this way. And the heat and the compression heat will go around Starship and generate so much heat that it will just melt the stainless steel. That's why half of Starship is black, as you can see right here on the bottom left corner of this. This Starship. It also, this is the second version, Block 2. There are 6 Starship flights with Block 1 variants of Starship. And this Starship, the flaps on the top, they are smaller. They are a little swept back. This improves the aerodynamics on re-entry and stops in the previous flights, which I've watched from Starship Flight 3 to now. The ones that have done re-entry, like 3, 4, 5, and 6, all the hinges on the top flaps burned and had flap damage because the heat was going through the flaps and melting them. They were close to failing. Starship Flight 4 is really close because the flaps on the top basically melted, and on the 6th flight test, they removed a ton of heat shield tiles, and and that made it so weak. It survived the entry and landed, but it sort of was broken. When it fell into the water, it experienced thermal shock. The thermal shock snapped the body in half, and that wasn't good at all. And also, if you looked closely during the landing, it's brown. It looked like there was thermal discoloration, even though it's probably not the case. There was also some pieces missing. Especially, they're close. The cameras right here are closing in on the piece that on Starship Flight 6, where that prototype looked like a segment of Starship is missing. And you can see now that they've moved up the camera, the flaps are bent back a little and they're pointed this way. That catch tower on Starship, those little arms that look like chopsticks, or that black thing that is on near the top of the rocket, those are catch arms. On the top left view of the launch pad view of Starship, you can see that it doesn't have landing legs like a previous video of the Falcon 9. Right here, over here is where the landing legs should be.
You have to describe it. So like the top left to the bottom left over.
Okay.
When you do that, they can see that.
Well, on the bottom, the top left, right here, was supposed to have landing legs like the Falcon 9, but they replaced that with catch tower, as you can see right here.
You can't see what you're thinking when you do that, so you have to explain.
Right here, and right here.
You can't see when you do that. Only you can see it thinking.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
So, as you can see, on the bottom left view and the bottom right view, you can see these chopsticks. When the booster, this is the craziest part, the booster's supposed to come down like 13 of the world's most complicated engines, or only ones that are the only engine of this kind to actually go on a flight test that can go beyond the Kármán line or space. It comes back down, lights 13 engines at the exact perfect moment, and then when it slows down enough, it will light 3 of the center main engines to precisely maneuver itself into the chopsticks, as you can see in the bottom left view of the screen. They're supposed to close in. Right now, they're closed out, right like this. They're supposed to close in, and Starship will come and go through it, and they'll close on the Starship, and they'll catch it. Right now, Starship is venting. On the launch pad view, you can see a bunch of vents, and it looks like it's cold, really cold. That's because it is. Starship uses methane. It's really cold, especially in its liquid form. When it's in its liquid form, it needs to be cold to like cryogenic temperatures, just like the liquid oxygen. Liquid oxygen is added to make the rocket more efficient. It is right here, right on the top right view. It is really cold. That's because the fuel is cold and it's venting because some of the methane rises above the temperature it's supposed to be, and since it's rising up the temperature it's supposed to be, it has to be vented out. Because when it turns into a gas, basically it will start expanding. The methane needs more room since there's less space between the methane particles. It will start to expand. If they don't vent it out, it could explode or pop or burst open. looks like right now it is 25-ish% fueled. I'm talking about the second half. On the bottom views, basically any view of the cameras right now, any view besides the top left and right view, you can see a hot staging ring. Starship comes in two parts. Those two parts are supposed to separate. Pretty much every single orbital rocket does this, and to make it more efficient and to make it able to carry any payload at all. When it snaps in half, the booster, which is the first half, its engines are still lit, but it has 33 engines, which is pretty much the world record of the most complicated engines. Those 3 engines are still ignited, and the engines on the second stage or second half, I'll call it second stage, will ignite. The reason why they're doing this, instead of basically shutting off the first part of the first stage, then separating, then igniting the second stage, is to minimize gravity losses, which means the atmosphere is like something that pushes against the rocket. It pushes against the rocket, and that slows the rocket down. That makes it less efficient. And second of all, if you are going, since your engines are off and you're going up, you might be going up instead of going down, but there's still 0 gravity when you're going up without a source of acceleration. So that source of acceleration is what gives the rocket the gravity. Since it gives the rocket the gravity, without that, the propellants could just fly off. And then when you ignite your engines, you will absorb in gas bubbles, and that could lead to a failure in engine start or a loss in mission. Since it's like that, you don't need separate engines to reignite, and with their own separate full fuel tanks, they don't need separate engines to reignite and then make the fuel settle to the bottom of the tanks and then ignite your main engines. Instead of that, the propellant is basically settled the whole time, and you won't absorb any gas bubbles. Right now, it looks like we are around T-minus 28 seconds. The booster looks like it is 20% filled up, 25 maybe, probably just 20, 18. It's going up. That means it's going up. That's a good sign. If it suddenly stops, it's going up very slowly, because since this is the world's largest rocket, it's the world's largest rocket, as you can see in basically all the views, it is so huge that it takes a long time to fuel up. And also, the reason why it starts fueling later than usual rockets is because since you are venting all that propellant out, it is basically, since it's venting out, it's basically wasting fuel. So they need to make sure that they minimize fuel losses. So they start 3 minutes before launch, which is amazing versus other rockets. That increases efficiency, and that increases payload. Oh, I also should mention that this is the first Starship flight that utilizes a cargo bay. They're going to basically deploy 10 fake Starlink satellites. They're going to deploy 10 fake Starlink satellites. The reason why they're fake and not real and operational is because they will be in the same flight path as Starship. So like in 40 or 20 minutes, they would basically be burning up. They'll be burning up on re-entry, which I explained as Starship getting so hot because it's moving at 27,000 kilometers per hour, or like 5 kilometers per second. Since it's moving that fast, it is gonna build so much heat, like I said before, that it would melt a lot of materials, and that is like, you do not want that to happen. Yeah. Starship. Oh, you can see the launch pad. Okay. This is here, the launch pad. The launch pad. The launch pad, as you can see in the top and bottom left view of the screen, is circular and has a flat stainless steel plate on the bottom. That plate, it ejects water. It ejects water to absorb the impact of the engine, which is so hot it will melt anything, like any material that I know of, like steel, tungsten, diamond, and each engine has around like 230 tons of force, somewhere in 200 tons, in between 200 and 300 tons of force. That water creates a shield and creates a cooling barrier from the impact. Here's another view of the flaps on the top of Starship. There, as you can see in the the bottom left view, there is a launch pad. That is launch pad B. That is designed for basically redundancy in the system of launching Starship. And I think it has a different kind of launch pad. Instead of just a flat stainless steel plate, as you can imagine, if you launch like a very sharp nosed airplane or anything sharp, it will pierce through the air. It won't pierce through the air as well at subsonic speeds or below the speed of sound, because a blunt nose or less sharp nose is more efficient since it has less surface area. It is better. Because as the exhaust comes in, instead of just smashing right in here and then going all different directions, it will like smoothly ride this way and inject it into a different direction, which decreases pressure. I don't know if it decreases heat. This is more efficient, and it also makes the pad more reusable. Starship is trying to be as reusable as possible, while also being like the cheapest rocket ever, even though it's the biggest rocket ever. That's why it's using stainless steel. Oh, it looks like Starship is 50% done fueling. That's why Starship is using that's why Starship is using stainless steel. Stainless steel has great material properties, like being able to withstand like 800 degrees Celsius temperatures before it loses half its strength. It's strong. Might not have a better strength to weight ratio than other rockets that use aluminum, but it's way cheaper and way easier to manufacture, and it just decreases cost, increases reusability, and it's just better for the goal that Starship has. On the top, on the bottom, the bottom left view of Starship is right now. The bottom left view of Starship is basically the second half is black. Half of the second half is black. On the bottom right view, it's not, because it's on the other side of Starship, since there's multiple cameras here. That black is heat shield tiles. they are using steel thermal protection system. The reason why it's black because it emits heat better. And this tiles were originally more of this foamy material, but they're cracky and fragile and will fall off easily. That's why they replace it with metal liquid cooled, which means they liquid cool some of the heat shield to prevent heat buildup, which makes Starship basically way more durable. That increases efficiency again, and is way more reusable because Starship wants to be reused like 1,000 times, and literally 1,000 times, and with minimal refurbishment or minimal repair, and only cost something like $10 million, which might sound like extremely expensive, but the rocket that uses to get to the moon costs something like $300 billion, and the Falcon 9, it's also reusable. It's also reusable. That Falcon 9 is also reusable. It's made out of aluminum, less durable, has landing legs, more points of failure. That doesn't mean it's more likely to fail because Starship is ultimately more crazy. It's even because and also the Falcon 9 booster, like the Starship booster, not like the Starship booster, has to do a re-entry burn. That protects it from re-entry, but it makes it less durable. The engine's less reusable. It's more durable. It's less durable. Falcon 9 is less durable. That thing costs $50 million-ish per launch. Only reusable rocket in operation. And it's one of the highest dollar per kilogram ratio. So imagine that with a huge Starship scale non-reusable rocket that's fueled by something like hydrogen, which needs like the SLS Space Launch System, which needs expensive insulation, and then it's RS-25's engines, 4 of them on the first stage. They cost as much. One engine used from the space shuttle, reused, cost as much as an entire Falcon Heavy rocket, which can launch up to 27 tons into orbit. It can launch like 27 tons into orbit, and it costs as much as a single engine used from the space shuttle reused. So if we scale that up, and then make it Starship-sized, hydrogen-fueled, powered by RS-25 engines, that would be incredibly expensive. Probably like a few $100 billion. That would be a very low cost per kilogram. And Starship, I should note that Starship has around 33 Raptor engines. These engines are the most complicated. Most amount of engines, that's for redundancy. On the first flight of Starship, if it had 9 engines like the Falcon 9, only 1 engine would be operational during liftoff, and then the thing will just come up and then come back down because it can't lift itself up since there's only 1 engine active. 8 engines shut off on the first test flight of Starship. Then it spun around and exploded. That's where SpaceX got lucky on adding 33 engines. They should, if they had a less complicated system for complicated engine for Starship, and less basically likely to explode engine, they would need less because it's just way less failure prone. So I need less engines and ultimately a better rocket. Actually not a better rocket, because if you use a simpler engine, it will be less efficient. But anyway, since it's using really complicated engines, it needs a lot of redundancy in the system. And since it needs a lot of redundancy in the system, it's redundant. Second stage, not so redundant. It is only has 6 engines active, probably 9 engines to increase power. It has 6 engines vacuum optimized, then 3 engines for landing in the ocean. 6 engines vacuum optimized. Since it's 6 engines vacuum optimized, it's less redundant, and it's harder to start since it's in a vacuum. There's no air, so the air pressure inside the rocket basically makes it want to burst open. That's also a good reason why they're using stainless steel. On the top left, top right view, those are the fuel tanks. It's going into the fuel tanks where it basically stores all the propellant. Now it's going back up, and yeah, it also looks like Starship's almost done fueling. Oh, I forgot to note, Starship uses oxygen. Oxygen's really heavy. If Starship, any rocket ever were to use not liquid oxygen, it would be really efficient. Like, the oxygen is so heavy, harder to combust, might be more efficient than a normal rocket engine that without oxygen. But if people can figure out how to get rid of the oxygen or use some type of air intake for their oxygen, or like a nuclear engine, a nuclear powered engine with like a nuclear core, and then it heats up hydrogen and then shoots it out the nozzle, it's gonna be way more efficient. Space travel will be less. It'd have a higher cost per kilogram. Maybe not. Maybe it can get more payload, but it would have a higher. It would be just made more efficient. It would be way smaller for the same amount of payload. It'll also be better for the environment, since nuclear reactors need hydrogen, which, even though it's extremely hard to store, you can't get around it, because the next lightest element, lighter the propellant, is the lighter the propellant, the higher the specific impulse. The second lightest element, other than hydrogen, because hydrogen is the lightest element known to man, it is, I think it's nitrogen. No, helium. It's 2 times heavier, then reduce the specific impulse by 2. I think like 600 specific impulse, or basically a normal engine is around 300 specific impulse, or fuel efficiency, or the gas mileage of a car. But in this case, it's a gas mileage of a rocket or Starship. It is more. It'll be just lower, better than normal rockets. Next lightest element, 14 times heavier, like the specific impulse of 200, worse than normal rocket engines. I don't even think the second lightest element, helium, can combust. So that would be useful. Right now we are T minus 11 minutes and 44 minutes. Let me move my view down. Move me down. Looks like it's around 60-70% full. It's getting closer to launching. I'll be really excited. When I see the launch, because this is just so crazy. 32 world's most complicated engines, reusable. It's like a 1 in a million chance they could actually nail that landing. I wonder how many people here think they could actually nail the landing. It's just really crazy. The second stage is supposed to do a belly flop. That's why the heat shield's on the side. You can't obviously fall down, like, you can't obviously just fall down and then ignite your engines and basically go like this and then crash into the ground. Starship has to do an insane belly flop and then softly land in the ocean. And it's just crazy. And there'll be engines shutting off, engines turning on in such a short amount of time. It's just crazy. Oh, those lattice-like square black structures on the halfway up the rocket. They just showed it. Those are grid fins. When the rocket comes down, those grid fins aim. It's going really fast, like Mach 5 or 5 times the speed of sound. It's basically, this is the grid fin. The air's coming this way, and then the grid fin turns and knocks the air this way. This creates a turning force on the rocket and increases drag, which slows the rocket down and makes it more efficient. I should note that is also launching in Texas, since I am live streaming from Florida. Looks like the top right, top left view, they zoomed out. Looks like they have. And by the way, some of my some people are watching. Hi, Gina, Jeanette, and late night internet marketing from Texas. Is he?
Mark.
Oh, hi. Oh, it's Mark. Are you? Hey, hello, Mark. Are you near the Starship launch? And Starship is, oh, it looks like it's almost done fueling. By the time it's T minus 3 minutes, it will be done fueling most likely, because again, you wouldn't want if Starship were to get scrubbed, the launch were to get scrubbed right now, it would have been, all the fuel would have boiled off. Either they would have let it boil off or detanked. Oh, that was funny. As soon as I said that, top left, top right corner, bunch of ice started falling off and stuff like that. Venting. It is almost done fueling. And by the way, it would be if a smaller rocket were to be fueled by methane, it would stop fueling way earlier, probably like 1 minute. 1 minute into 1 minute when it's done fueling. So basically, it has the option. So there would be 1 minute in between the time when it launches and when it's done fueling. Hydrogen, if a reasonable rocket was to use hydrogen, probably be even less than that. Or maybe a methane-fueled smaller rocket would be 2 minutes and hydrogen would be 1. If any hydrogen boiled off. And if any hydrogen boiled off, since the space shuttle, an example of a good hydrogen boiling off, the space shuttle, it in between, I think space shuttle was fueled up while it was in the launch center, like the building center. So they had to transport the gigantic hydrogen tank. The gigantic hydrogen tank, I think it was 50% empty. By the time it got to the launch pad, because all of the hydrogen boiled off, even with the jet. A lot of people remember the space shuttle for its orange tank. That is for hydrogen installation. If it didn't have that, it would pretty much be empty. It would pretty much be empty by the time it reaches the launch pad. It will pretty much be empty while it reaches the launch pad. That's really important, because if it was empty and they launched, the big boosters on the side, it would have tilted, the space shuttle would have launched like this, and then just would have went like that, and then either the mission was lost or they would abort, the abort is probably less reliable than the launch, because they would basically have to eject from the plane. I mean, the plane part of the space shuttle probably would separate from the rest of the space shuttle, turn into a stable glide, and then the people would just eject out of explosive hatches, and then the space shuttle would just crash while the people land in a random location. There are a bunch. Right now, I think it's done fueling. It is T-minus 4 takeoff minus. It's gonna lift off in 3 minutes and 53 seconds. I'm so nervous right now. I might not sound nervous, but I am just really nervous, because this is really, there's a lot of ways this way can fail. It could fail during launch, fail during cruising up to speed. It could fail during the rocket separates. It could fail during the booster separating and then going in the opposite direction, and then boosting off to the launch tower, and it could explode while it's coming back to Earth, and the engines will get and so fast that it's going up to 1,000 degrees Celsius. It could fail during its landing burn. It could crash into the tower and set SpaceX back by at least 2 months. It could have an abort and crash into the ocean. It could fail during orbit. It can fail during the Starlink deployment. It can fail during reentry. It can melt during reentry. It can fail during second stage landing, which is why I'm so nervous. Now, I've been watching been watching Starship launches since the third. I've been watching Starship launch live stream since the third Starship flight of Starship, and by then I thought rockets were really reliable, and I've never heard of anything explode besides the Challenger, besides the space shuttle, and I just thought Starship would just be okay, and I wasn't nervous. I mean, maybe I was nervous, but when it landed, I mean, it didn't land. Only 2 engines ignited out of 13 engines, and it exploded during its landing burn, and I didn't know what was going on. I was sad when I figured out later that it exploded. And then during reentry, this is the funny part, Starship was going in all sorts of different directions and spinning around while it's moving at 27,000 kilometers per hour, and is basically a fireball coming back to Earth. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? Why is it moving everywhere? Is something okay? And I'm like, why are the flaps moving so much, trying to stabilize the vehicle? And then the the connection ran out, and then it exploded, which I didn't know. And I'm like, okay. Then I just started getting into Starship. Oh, T minus 54 seconds. It just, I was sad to figure out that both the entire ship exploded, and then I did more analysis, and then I figured out what they're gonna do in Starship Flight 4. I was really surprised, and just as I was really surprised about Starship landing in the ocean. It might be an ocean landing, but it's just crazy, and I actually survived re-entry. You are Megan Hose. Hi, you are 45 minutes away from south of the launch. You can see it from your house. The shuttle launched. Oh, T minus 3 minutes. It launched. It launched. It launched. It launched. It's actually launching right now. It's tilting. It's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going. Looks like all the engines are ignited. I was not paying attention to the launch countdown. It is tilting. That's crazy. I wonder what's the speed. What's the speed? What's the telemetry? What's the speed? I wonder where it's going. I mean, I don't wonder how fast it's going. Where's the engine view? All the engines are ignited so far. Look at the mock diamonds. Okay, looks like the engine exhaust is starting to spread out. By the way, we are hearing it as if it's like 10 seconds ago. Okay, the engine exhaust is spreading out. That means it's going higher and higher. As the engine exhaust spreads out, that means it's going higher into space. Wow, it's accelerating so fast. I'm shaking so much. Last time I watched Starship Flight 5 during the booster catch, my heart was beating so fast. And by the way, when you said you were 45 minutes away from the launch, I wasn't born when the space shuttle was operational. The space shuttle actually retired in 2011. I was born in 2012. So I wasn't able to see space shuttle launches. I didn't even know if there's I don't even know if there's space shuttle live streams. Back in 2011. So it's accelerating, it's going higher into space. Are they hot staging? Hot staging, separating. Booster separation. You can basically see the booster coming back to Earth. Oh, that thing looks like it's tilting. That looks like it's tilting. Okay, it looks like the booster is being normal. It just looks like it's going normal. It's fine. I think. I feel like it's gonna explode in a second. But please don't explode. Okay, booster shutdown. That better. That should not be that should not be in the thing of explosion during Starship Flight 2, which I didn't watch. I saw it later. That happened and it exploded, that thing, but now I learned that's an oxygen dump, since it's dumping oxygen, so it's probably not gonna explode. I'm shaking. That looks so cool. It's okay. Should be turning around to face the opposite direction that it's going in order to get more control and basically fall down and not crash, hopefully. Hopefully. Oh, we're only 4 minutes into the flight. I thought we were something like 10 minutes. I hope there's no hot stage separation, because that means they didn't make a reusable stage separation platform. Okay, it's coming back down. It's coming back down. It's coming back down. It is coming back down. I can't hear SpaceX talking right now, so that probably means it is not coming back to Earth. And I mean it is coming back to Earth, but that means I don't know whether or not it is going to catch or not. It's coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back. Gonna heat up, gonna heat up. We're gonna get pretty hot. Really hot. Pretty hot. If you were on Starship, you would not survive. Okay, you can see it's getting faster, and it's starting to heat up. I want to see that heat. I don't want heat to happen at all, but it would be cool to see it. It would be better to see the heat and know that it's gonna not burn up than just, not see the heat and not know what's gonna happen. Oh! We are getting hot. It's getting hot. We are coming down. Where is Starship? They're having trouble tracking. Oh, you can see the engine fuel. It's getting really hot. Speed of sound, sound barrier. Okay, it's tilting back. Oh, engine ignition. Sonic boom. Please catch. No way! The Starship is swinging. Either there's a shadow, it's ejecting black smoke, or part of it is completely broken. Looks like it's not, and it looks like it's swinging. If you look at every view besides Starship, besides probably the top left view, you could see that shadow. It looks like it's in perfect condition, except for a lot of hot spots. If you look there, it looks like it's swinging. The chopsticks are literally bent because Starship is so heavy. And I can't believe I'm watching it live. Like while I'm watching this thing right now, it's happening. It's actually happening. I wonder when they will show the ship catch. I wonder where they'll show if it's in orbit. I wonder if they'll show if it's if it's in orbit. I'm pretty sure they will. We just have to wait. when the booster came in, and then it started tilting like this. It was like this, and then it just went like straight. I thought that thing was gonna smack right into the tower and explode. But the computers, they made up for that. Might look like they caught it from the grid fins, and the grid fins have to literally bend to support the entire weight. It looks like it still has fuel left. Oh, I think I get it because Starship is not carrying a payload. If it's carrying a payload, it would have less fuel because it needs more fuel to get that payload up there. I mean, it does have a payload, but it's pretty light. It's probably something like 10 tons, and that's like 10 times less than what Starship needs. I mean, the max of Starship. So now we just have to wait. We are T-minus 10 minutes. I wonder why the bottom right view is shaking. Oh, here's a Tower B view. You literally can't see Starship. That's the second tower. I also should note that there are gonna be probably gonna be some Starship launches in Florida. Oh, here's some pictures. There's some pictures on the bottom left view of Starship when it was on the launch pad, and now it shows when it got caught. Late night internet marketing. Thanks for the play-by-play, dude. That was an awesome year. That was awesome. You are way more fun than watching those boring SpaceX guys. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you on the next launch. And by the way, the next launch, they could see SpaceX catching the ship. They're doing an ocean landing. They're doing an ocean landing on the ship, so that means they are not going to catch the ship. And if they were going to catch the ship, probably by now they would have basically those catch arms, they basically lowered they basically would have lowered those arms and put the booster back on the launch pad, and then the chopstick arms would come back up and then catch the ship, which would be way harder. Of course, with belly flopping the ship is probably just as hard as catching the booster, but imagine catching the ship. That would be 10 times harder. I shall be back in a minute. Wait, no. Okay. Okay, I am, wait. Back.
Which one you want to go to?
My live streaming.
Huh?
My live streaming.
Yeah? Okay, hold on. Tell them you'll be back in a second.
I will be back in a second.
successfully caught just minutes ago after sending the ship off into space, and having seen it for the first time with my own eyeballs in person, it was pretty awesome. And yeah, the thunder-like sonic boom was really fun to experience.
Yeah. So we are getting a little bit
Okay,
more.
I am
so
back
We did lose all communications with the ship.
the launch pad.
So I mean,
SpaceX
that is
will be talking
essentially
now.
telling us that we had an anomaly with that upper stage. So we were just coming up to the end of that ascent burn for the ship when we stopped when we started to lose a couple of the engines. We saw those dropping out, and then we did lose telemetry from the ship, so that means we didn't have contact with it. So at this point, we are assuming that the ship has been lost. So this was a brand new vehicle, essentially. This was kind of an upgrade version. So with that, there's a lot of things you're upgrading, but there's a lot of things you're going to learn as all of those systems are now interacting with each other for the first time.
Okay.
But at this point, we did lose the upper stage of the ship. So again, we're gonna listen in and try and figure out a little bit more about what happened, and obviously we'll do kind of a full breakdown once we get smarter.
Did they lose the ship?
That have recently tuned in. We're now a little over T plus 16 and a half minutes after liftoff. We do believe that we have lost the ship during its ascent phase. It's successfully separated from the Super Heavy booster, but during that ascent phase, a couple of the engines dropped out, and then shortly thereafter we lost communication with the vehicle. So we are assuming that we have lost the ship, but we are standing by to confirm that, and once we can, we will. But this was a new version of the ship, of Starship, and it was intentionally designed and flown in order to basically test the envelope, as we have done with every one of these test flights, the keyword there being test, and really trying to understand the boundaries and the maximums for the ability of this vehicle to fly and understand where those boundaries are. So we always knew that excitement is guaranteed today, success not guaranteed. And so yeah, we are standing by to see if we can learn more about the status of the ship.
So they probably lost that.
And if you're just joining us, you're looking at live views of Super Heavy hanging in the chopsticks.
It says that the booster, the ship probably gone.
So much excitement that the catch happened, and then followed immediately by the sadness that it does look like we have unfortunately lost a Starship, the first ever Block 2, during the ascent phase. But there is a booster, a 20-story tall vehicle is hanging on these tiny little pegs that you can see right there. It's still swaying on those chopsticks.
It is?
And it'll be interesting to see how soon they're able to lower this back down to the pad there, and what this recovery operation is like.
We're only 18 minutes into Starship flight test.
We'll stay live as long as SpaceX is live, and we'll be listening in to Mission Control here to hear these updates, so stay with us right here on the launch pad. We continue to monitor the incredible recovery of Super Heavy, but the loss of Starship at 19 minutes into today's flight.
Wait, they have 3 engines? Wait, don't they have 6 engines? It's saying that there's 6 engines. And since there's 6 engines, if one is still active, wait, it's only doing 3 engines. Maybe that there is 4 engines still active? Maybe it's possible that there are 4 engines still active on Starship. So, um, if if Starship exploded, that probably means that they had a hard time starting it in vacuum. So that means when SpaceX uploads the video of Flight 7 recap, it would probably be more centered on the launch than um, than than the actual ship trying to splash down. Either there's a trouble with the Starship communicating the data back to SpaceX, or and it's still alive, or it exploded because there's a problem with the engines, which again are extremely powerful, extremely hot, extremely crazy, a lot of moving parts. Space Shuttle rocket engine has over 2 million moving parts. Looks like there's a bird flying right on the Starship. Okay, I shall be back in a second. I am back. Okay. I am back. I'm pretty sure that that shot on the booster is, Starship, is the shadow from the launch pad. So this means, so what happened is, Starship lifted off, no engines shut off for the booster, came back down and got caught, which is the craziest thing ever. And on the second stage, it appears to have exploded. I shall be back in again.
Full stage separation. The booster pushed the ship off, and the ship disconnected during that stage separation. The booster came back for a successful, the second ever booster catch at the launch tower, which was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, it was great to see the booster come down, but we are obviously bummed out about ship. It looked like we lost contact with it a little under 8.5 minutes into flight. That's roughly when you start to get to that main engine cutoff. We obviously need to go through all the data. It's going to take some time. In the next hours, days, we're going to figure out exactly what happened, come back, fly the next one, get even farther. Reminder, it's a test. It's a flight test. It's an experimental vehicle. So we'll figure out what ended our day today and make sure it doesn't end our day tomorrow. So as we do that, we're going to continue to provide you updates on our X account on SpaceX.com. So just continue to tune in there as we learn what happened. We'll be ready to share it.
Exactly. So for now, we are going to wrap up our webcast. We'd like to thank the folks in the county for supporting the launch, as well as the agencies that enable us to launch, and of course to our viewers for tuning in.
And thank you, Kate, for coming down, doing this with me. It was great to have you here.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We'll see you guys at the next Starship flight test.
And there we have it, Starship Flight 7 officially in the record books. Booster back at the pad, and the ship has been lost over the Gulf of Mexico. We will await, of course, more information from SpaceX as they continue through the investigation on what happened here today. But what an incredible day. 2 for 2. Go for tower, and that catch worked. We'll be monitoring the Super Heavy booster as they continue the recovery operations. They're not done yet. They've got a 20-story building hanging in the air, and we hope that you will follow along with what's happening down there on the tower with our 24/7 Starbase cameras. Those are now live, and we hope to see you there. But make sure you head over to tlpnetwork.com to stay up to date on the latest of the launch schedule, and join us over on our TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out in between streams, and we'd love to see you there. We might jump into one of the public comms and do kind of a post-show hangout here when we know a little bit more, answer some more questions and stuff. So make sure you're in the Discord and staying tuned for those Discord events. But that is going to do it for us here today from our TLP Space Coast studio.
Okay, it looks like so the ship exploded. Look like one of the engines is actually still active. If they could actually make it so that if Starship could reposition itself in orbit, which would be like very unlikely, it could theoretically do re-entry, but that's very unlikely. SpaceX would be looking through as I said, SpaceX would be looking through the data to see what happened and provide updates. Starship Flight 8 ship catch would definitely probably be canceled, because why would they go from an explosion to a ship catch? So since Starship exploded, there are some options that could happen. Since the Raptor engine ignited in space, since there's a vacuum, no air, a bunch of stuff can get wrong. The engines could have absorbed air bubbles. Since it uses pre-burners and a bunch of turbines and pre-burners, the engine could have gone stoichiometric and basically burned up the entire engine. Or there's a problem with the engines and it just broke two of the engines. On the SpaceX thing, it said there's 3 engines on 3 engines on the second stage. Version 2 most likely actually has 6 engines. There's a chance that the rocket is stable. It didn't explode. But yeah, SpaceX is currently saying that they have confirmed that it exploded based on the data they have from Starship. So yeah. So that is my live stream, my first live stream of the video since so I will see you the next